Welcome to another Kings of War Battle Report. Tournament Report Game 7. Undead versus Elves. 2150 points. The scenario was loot. So our tournament is rapidly winding up. We are down to the end. So here's the progress so far. Game 1, Empire of Dust versus the Brotherhood. The result, Craig, 14-7. Game 2, Empire of Dust versus the Forces of Nature. The result, Randall, 15-6. Game 3, Forces of Nature versus Salamanders. The result, Randy, 15-6. Game 4, Salamanders versus the Brotherhood. Craig comes back, 14-7. Game 5, Variger versus the Northern Alliance. Randy, 14-7. And just recently, Game 6. This was probably the most one-sided game of the whole thing, which was really weird since all the rest were like all the way down to the wire. Variger versus Northern Alliance. The result, Randy, 14-7. And today is Game 7. So this is his elf list from memory, and it's probably pretty close. There might be some items missing somewhere here or there. He had a horde of spearmen with the hammer of measured force. He had the horde of palace guard with the brew of strength. He had a regiment of forest guard with the brew of sharpness. A troop of spearmen with the scrying gem. A regiment of stormwind cav. They may have had an item, but I don't know. He had one archmage with a boomstick. He had the other archmage with the with healing and the shroud of the saints. And then he had Argus to add some support there, a horde of Draken Riders, 2 troops of Gladewalker Archers, an ASB mounted with the loot. Alright, this is my Undead army, basically the models I own. So, 2 hordes of skeletons, 2 regiments of ghouls, 2 regiments of zombies, 1 regiment of Soul Reaver infantry with Hans, 1 regiment of Soul Reaver cavalry with the Potion of the Caterpillar, a horde of wights with the Brew of Haste, a vampire on Pegasus with the Mace of Crushing, a necromancer with, of course, Surge and Weakness, a vampire dragon with Surge and the Blade of Slashing, the army standard bearer with the Loot of Insatiable Darkness. They have 27 unit strength and 13 drops. So I don't have any good pictures of deployment, so I'll just go ahead and show you my first turn and explain what you're seeing. Up on the hill to the right, my ghouls marched up and got in position. I was going to try to maybe go around the tower or then catch something going around the tower. I was frankly shocked that Craig let me go first, because that let me go ahead and jump my vampire up there to threaten the flank of his whole army. And the everything else just kind of moved up on line. So then I had the Soul Reaver Cav, and then a unit of zombies, and then the Soul Reaver infantry, the wights, and then it was skeletons, zombies, and skeletons again, I think. And behind them is the necromancer. Over on the far end was the other unit of ghouls and the dragon, vampire dragon. So that was that constituted the my turn 1. This is just a view of the other side of the world, just so you can see where everything is at. It's kind of hard sometimes when I take a picture of one end of the table, but up there you can see that the ghouls move and angled. Probably should just went straight up and went into the woods to start threatening the flank of his army. The dragon, I have no idea why I didn't move it on the first turn. I should have just faced it straight toward the tower and moved up, but something made me not do it. I have no idea. Maybe I thought he had more shooting than he did. Probably that's what it was. So over on the right flank here, I moved the Pegasus over, just kind of used his nimble to get a line on the flank of his army. The ghouls turned and started moving toward the tower. I think maybe deployment-wise, I should have angled them from the beginning, because I know that's where I wanted them eventually. Everything else just moved up. I'm really poised to grab the tokens. The over here on this flank, in the middle, the whites angled toward the palace guard with the hopes of doing something wicked to them eventually. Yeah, the dragon moved up. He probably moved up a little bit too far, to be honest. There was really, I probably should have just came around there and just faced him into the woods and then made the 20-inch jump on the next turn. But I was using him cautiously for some reason. I'm using my General on Winged Beast in my Kingdoms of Men army, and I'm really aggressive with him. And I don't know why this dragon was being, he's painted purple, he's not painted pink, so I don't know. So yeah, Craig retrograded a lot of his army to get out of charge range of all my stuff. There really was no reason to. It's only turn two, so there's real reason to run out there and get in a bunch of potential surge situations fighting the undead. So he just basically turned everything. He turned his spear troop toward my Pegasus, and then his Draken Riders and his knights were also turned toward the Pegasus uh, to keep them from getting charged in the flank. Everything else just kind of sat there. He angled his forest guard in the woods over there, and the heroes and stuff just moved around in support. I mean, what's the guy's name? Argus just hung at the back of the table, didn't do anything the whole game except stand there. So in my turn, since the Pegasus had drawn so much attention, he just bolted right back behind the tower and made all those, since all those units had to turn to move, it was kind of fun because now they're all aimed the wrong direction. So that was fine. The whites did not move up. I moved the skeletons up there to receive the charge. I was hoping I could get the whites into those palace guard. The ghouls appeared out of the forest, and I was hoping to provoke a charge, and I did end up provoking a charge, but it wasn't the one that I wanted, and got myself in trouble over here on the left flank. So in my dumbass move of the day, I let his archers charge my dragon and ground it. It was so dumb. But on the other hand, if he had failed to do any wounds to him, I could have rolled his whole damn army. So maybe it was worth it, maybe not. He did flank charge the ghouls, but it did pull the spearmen out of the line, so they couldn't support the forest guard charge into my skeleton unit there. And the all the palace guard did was just kind of angle to protect the flank of those units. But I mean, I was going to be able to charge the forest guard in the flank with the zombies pretty much anyway. Yeah, the forest guard came in there, and I think they had the blade of sharpness or brew of sharpness, and so they did 9 wounds to my skeleton horde, which was not good. I mean, that's going to put them in breaking land on the next turn if I don't watch it. Yeah, so the archers did do 1 wound, and the ghouls died. The thing is if they hadn't done the 1 wound, the game would have been over because I would have hit the forest guard, then hit the other guys, and it would have been game over. So that was a good save on Craig's part to do that charge. Uh, he rolled really well on the chance to hit, and then I think he did like 5 hits, which was pretty good for those guys, and then did a single wound. But um, that was cool. I mean, it was a good move on his part. Okay, over here, his lightning bolt and shooting had got my middle skeleton horde up to 5 wounds, and you can see my soul re. I thought I had a blue tech to the base, and I put him on the side of the hill, and the whole damn unit just falls over. So I'll blue tack them tonight so that they won't do that the next game. So yeah, my turn. I think this is 4. I did kill the archers, but now I'm going to be doomed when that unit of spearmen come charging in. They had the hammer of measured force, so that was not going to be good for my dragon. And like I say, this was just the whole stupid thing. I mean, I shouldn't even have been in anywhere close to these guys. I should have went ahead and made a jump over their army a lot sooner in the game than I did. Yeah, so I went ahead and charged the vampire on the Pegasus into his cavalry unit. And the whole goal there was just to keep him from moving, honestly, because I'm trying to back these tokens away from his army. And that same reason I chose to charge the whites into his palace guard was exactly the same reason, is just to back those tokens away. Over on the left flank, I just backed the skeletons out of the combat and then charged in the flank with the zombies to slow down those forest guard. Probably a mistake. I might have been able to hurt those forest guard if I would have stayed there, but you cannot ever count on skeletons to do anything. So probably a mistake on my part. I mean, that's another mistake. This game is just Randy making mistakes one after the other. But probably should have just stayed there and fought them. And but I mean, I would have lost that horde next turn regardless, because I think he had brew of sharpness on that unit. He did 9 the turn before. Well, would probably do 9 or so the next turn, and so then they would be rolling for a 4. But my goal was to try to keep the token. Maybe the dragon could get over there eventually to help out the. Even if I lose that unit, that token would just be hanging there. So yeah, the zombie flank charge basically does nothing to those forest guard. Also the whites, who should have done, I don't know, probably 10, 12 points of damage to the forest, to his palace guard. I mean, I think they did 6 or 7. It was a pretty subpar dice roll. The vampire did pretty well. I think he did 3 or 4 wounds, which is pretty good, I thought, into that cavalry unit. And the thing is, they lost their thunderous charge. So as long as I could live, I'll probably eventually beat that unit, just because of my life leech getting all my wounds back. Yeah, in his turn, this one, I knew this was going to be bad. I mean, at least he's hindered, so he's not going to do a whole lot of wounds to me. But I mean, I have no shot of hurting those guys back with phalanx on them, and so I just need to get the heck out of Dodge as fast as I can. Yeah, it went from bad to worse over here. The forest guard did go ahead and just ignore the zombies and charged in and destroyed my unit of skeletons. The palace guard, I don't know if they got bane chanted or what. They had brewed strength on them, and they butchered the whites in one go. Not good. So anyway, at least I have the right flank of my army left, because there really is no left. And the biggest problem is I've got that one token there and nothing to support them, because I don't know what I was thinking. I mean, in reality, if I would have probably started out the game with the Soul Reaver cavalry on the right and the Soul Reaver infantry on the left, I would have been just fine, because those Soul Reaver infantry just kill whatever they touch. And so that's the thing, is that I needed to have more combat power over there, especially since I screwed around with the dragon and messed up with it. So yeah, you can see where his cavalry countercharged back into the vampire. Did 3 wounds to him, but like I said, I could be able to hold him with life leech too, hold him up just about all day there, unless something comes to his rescue, which I think is what's about to happen. What I didn't do this game was, when I did these charges like this, I should have just been moving everything forward. But I guess I got the token and just wanted to move back, not forward. And I think that was the reason why that I didn't support this. I was just using this more as a spoiling attack or a delaying thing, to make him keep thinking about the vampire and not be thinking about that token that I'm taking off with. But in honesty, I just needed one unit with the token to go back. I didn't need them all, so kind of messed that up. So on turn 5, I just turned the dragon right face and moved him 10 inches away from those guys to get out of their charge arc. That's all I could do to get him out of there. I mean, there was no point in sitting there fighting in those woods. I did charge the skeletons and the zombies into the flank of skeletons in the front of those palace guard, with the hope that I might get lucky and do enough damage, because they were already wounded from the whites. And if the whites would have done the average amount of wounds, I think I probably could have. This would have probably worked, but you'll see what happens. So yeah, I finally moved up to support everything, but you can see this just too little too late at this point in time. Should have been moving them up there the whole time, because most of that army on the left, on the right over here, is live, and so I could have been marching even if I needed to get some better position for things. Just made a huge mistake and by not supporting my my attacks better. So yeah, the skeleton and zombie attack had the predictable results, which is doing absolutely nothing to the palace guard. I mean, a guy could think he could get lucky, but it didn't. So then that opened the rear of the zombies for being charged by the forest guard, and that's going to be the end of them. And they're going to have 2 tokens, and I will have lost the game at the bottom of turn 6. So instead of boring you, I'm just going to show you the end of the game. I actually had a chance here. What I did is I ran the dragon out in a suicide attempt to breathe on that unit of forest guard, and did like 1 wound. It wasn't good. And I did also have the Soul Reaver infantry up in case there was a turn 7, because the palace guard were pretty injured. I mean, it would have taken much to kill them and get that middle token back. But we rolled. It was a 3, and so there wasn't a turn 7, and a nice win for Craig. So besides the mistakes I illustrated during the game, the things I made, the biggest thing I did was not being aggressive, because once I got the tokens, I started backing away instead of trying to kill stuff. And that really lets the initiative switch over to him on the attack. There's also no excuse in the world for that dragon not to have been behind his army on turn 2 or 3 and just blowing it away. That's on me. I mean, this whole game, I think I was just discombobulated. I don't know how to explain, uh, after the last game that I played so well, this game it was like the total. And there's no dice anomalies here. This is just me playing poorly. So that's I cannot even complain. And usually, this is an unusual thing for me. I can't complain about dice. No, there's no complaints. The thing is I just blew it and with some bad moves and not thinking far enough ahead. But the advantage of this tournament is he has to play the same army next game, and I can actually change mine if I want to. Plus, I already know what the last scenario is. It's going to be invade, and so my 27 unit strength should help me out in that scenario a lot. So the getting this token one was really good for him because he's a little bit faster than me as far as the infantry. But invade, it probably won't matter. I just need to get across the table with that 27 unit strength, and I guarantee you that I will be a lot more aggressive with my dragon and my movement in the next game, especially with I think I'll make sure I put the so even if I have the skeletons and stuff like that, I'll support them a lot better with either the Soul Reavers or the Soul Reaver Cav or both. I mean, I stuck them on that one flank, and I really don't know why. I mean, I can in this also. I could switch my army up a little bit for the next game. I have up to 15%. If I did anything, I might screw around with some stuff and maybe make one of those skeleton units into spearmen because he does have flyers and he does have cavalry. So that might be something. It's only a few points. I could drop something to come around with it. At the end of the game, I was casting surge so much that I was casting weakness, and so that was not a good thought. I mean, I should have may need to look at, do I need weakness at all, or if I'm having to do surge every time, because I got surge on the dragon, which is useless. So I mean, that could go to help pay for the spearmen. Just take the surge off the dragon, and and not worry about it so much. But anyway, I mean, I think I did the right thing with the surge. I just, surging zombies, they don't hurt anything, and surging skeletons, they don't hurt anything. So I needed some better, maybe revenants. And the other thought was maybe to swap both skeleton units for a horde of revenants. That could work. I mean, it's just as far as points and stuff, because that's still under my 300 point borderline there, and because that would be 280 for those guys, and I could put the revenant horde in there instead of the skeletons. But they really don't hurt much either. I mean, they're no better. I mean, they hit on fours, they wound on fours on armor 4 guys, so they're not that much better. Except their armor is 5, and that may save them. But as you could tell, Craig had loaded his guys up with magic items: the forest guard with the sharpness, and then the brew of strength on those palace guards. So probably don't matter what I did as far as running into those 2 units. The best thing to do with them is to avoid them, or try to get a flank or rear on them with the dragon and try to take them out that way. So anyway, like I said, mistakes were made. I get a whole nother game to think of it right now. If I win the next game, I'll win the tournament. If I lose the next game, it's a tie for the tournament. So either way, I'm okay. There's no way I lose the tournament. That's my point to everybody. I will not lose. I will either be a draw or I'll win. So, but like I said, I could change my army list a little bit because I know what he's playing. I know what the next scenario is, so I could think about my deployment a little better. And so, sometimes losing gains you an advantage in our style of format, because it always seems that way. It's very rare that one of us tears off 2 wins in a row. So anyway, but I mean, like I said, no matter what, I'm not going to lose the tournament. So that makes me feel good. And hope you enjoyed the battle report, and hope we'll see you on for game 8.